Good evening, good early morning. It is Monday, January 9th, 2023. How's everyone out there? Well, finally, mercifully, the Jets season is over, and they went out fittingly with a whimper. And fittingly, their final play of the season ended in a safety. They went out and gave up that ugly number, 11 points, and lost 11-6 in a game that featured no touchdowns, which, summing up the Jets, they went their final in this 6-game losing streak that they had to end the year. The final 3 games, they didn't score a single touchdown. So the final 12 quarters of the season, they didn't score a single touchdown, which is just plain pathetic, if you ask me. It's like, how in the world? First of all, what was Joe Flacco, Glass Joe Flacco, doing in the game? I don't. Why did the bald man decide to start Flacco? You know, you could have given Streveler a shot. You could have given, the pretty boy. You know, and there was a shot on camera today of even Mike White studying plays, even Joe Flacco studying plays. But there's the pretty boy just sitting there. You know. Tomorrow is Black Monday, where a number of coaches will probably be getting the sack. Mike Vrabel comes to mind. The team that collapsed worse than the Jets, Tennessee. Dear God, what happened there? Had the Jets pulled out a win today, as maybe they could have, Miami would have had an epic collapse. But, at least for 1 week, and probably just the 1 week, they were spared. So, but the Jets offense couldn't get a darn thing going today. They had the one play there where Garrett Wilson late in the first half, broke 3 tackles, broke away from 3 Dolphin players, had a big 45-yard gain. Of course, naturally, the Jets only got a field goal. I didn't see much of the game because I had to go to work, but, I didn't really even have to see much to know. Just to know what happened. And it's pathetic, and obviously now we go into an off season. We should be planning to be playing football next week. But everything it's just another wasted season. And like I've said many times, I don't want to hear about strides. I don't want to hear about, 7 wins, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's how we got there and it's how we finished. We were 7-4 at Thanksgiving weekend. And what were we since? Trash. The defense, the defense kept us in games, but critical junctures, where were they? To my understanding, there was a bogus horse collar penalty on the Jets on that ensuing winning drive, if I'm not mistaken. How often is horse collar called in these days? Supposed to show you. But the defense gave it up points late. That's the Jets' way. But how about the offense providing some support? This game today was all field goals. So the defense may have given up the points late, that pretty much cost them the game. But, when the offense doesn't show up, 6 points. 3 games and only field goals. Their last touchdown came in the Lions game in the 4th quarter of that game. And we all know what happened thereafter. And it's pretty clear the Jets themselves just didn't recover. They didn't recover after what happened in that game. They just played deflated football. They only turned the ball over, forced 1 turnover, and there were no turnovers in this game, by the way. But it's just, they just look like they played uninspired football. You played wheel of quarterbacks. Someone's got to take the sack for this. And if Woody Johnson is so-called fed up with Robert Saleh, the problem is you can't have this revolving door of coaches. You can't do it. But us pessimist Jet fans, hell, we want somebody fired after every loss. But this is just, this is 2 years, rebuilding. But it's like the funny part, the talent is there for the Jets. They're a very talented team. Unfortunately, the most important position, on a football team is not it. And that is what's setting the Jets back. Mike White, in all his courage last week, you know, turns out he has 5 fractured ribs. And he played with all that. No wonder why he was so bad against Seattle. You know, no one, it explained it. You know, because, I mean, I don't want to say he's fragile, but man, gotta admire his courage. But, I mean, one thing's for sure, the pretty boy's not in. He wasn't going to flourish here. You know, and yeah. You know, he wasn't going to flourish in New York. That's the pretty boy for you. But everyone else, I mean, you know, the season's over. The season is over, you know. Why couldn't we see Chris Streveler? Why not? He can move the ball. Glass Joe barely moved the ball. What do you have, 150-something yards? And this was a problem. And it was a problem with Zach Wilson, even as we were winning games. So for all of you that think, oh, well, the Jets were 5-2 during Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson's only losses were to New England. And then when he came back, right, when he came back as starting quarterback after Mike White got hurt, Detroit beat him, Jacksonville beat him, you know? And then they went back to Mike White because he was cleared to play with Seattle. And it was so bad to the point where he couldn't even play today. They dressed him, but he was, you know, number 2. What does that go to show you? He's done. You know, but again, somebody has to pay for this. We started 7-4. We were 5-2, 6-3, 7-4, and then we just had an all-world collapse with a 7-10 finish. Like I said, we should be preparing to play football next week. We should have been sitting comfortable, you know, playing today, not worrying too much. I mean, this should have been a play-in game. Had we gotten at least one more win, this would have been a play-in game today. But Miami's going to the playoffs, eliminating the Steelers. The Patriots, you knew were going to get beaten in Buffalo when they did. So, you know, Miami's going to play. Then, you know, they play the Bills next week. Good luck with that. They're going to get smoked anyway. You know, Bill said, hey, we'll do you the favor. Now we're going to kick your butt next week. You know? In fact, 3 of the 6 playoff matchups are divisional matchups, believe it or not. So, but anyway, the Jets. Same old Jets. You know, and you know, the team was decimated enough to be fair. They were. But I mean, you're playing the likes. I mean, Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed did their job today on Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They did. You know, they pretty much had a decent year for the most part. They did. But outside of that, there were critical times that the defense gave things up a number of times. And then once they gave up the 50-yard touchdown in the Lions game to, what his name, Brock Wright, whatever the heck his name was, you know, that was it. That was the season. And they just never, ever recovered. They always give it up. I mean, it makes you wonder what would have happened if Mike White started the year instead of Glass Joe. I mean, would they have been scared, you know, with full intention to get Zach Wilson back? What if Mike White were winning those first 3 games? Oh, but with full intention to have Zach Wilson back, what do? You know? When Zach Wilson's first game back, that's the only game you really put in his hands and that he won, the Pittsburgh game. And Pittsburgh was reeling at that point, and look what happened. They came that close to a playoff spot. You know? They came that close. What does that go to show you? All these teams that the Jets beat up in October, you know, look, Pittsburgh was close. And they were eliminated here in in this final week. Green Bay, left for dead. Jets slaughtered them at Lambeau Field early this year. What happened? Eliminated on the very last game of this entire football slate. What does that go to show you? Miami, look what happened. They clinched a playoff spot today by beating said team. So all these teams the Jets beat up. Buffalo, right? Their usual spot. You know, but people will sit there and say, Case, oh, well, we beat up their second and third strings. Well, like I said, I mean, they beat up Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. They did. They should have beaten Josh Allen the second time. And as for Robert Saleh, you know, being, you know, cocky, oh, well, Robert, you know, we'll see Buffalo again. He guaranteed, well, guess what? When we needed you to do that, where you could have potentially gone and faced the Buffalo Bills again, guess what happened? You know, you crapped out. You went and you crapped out in your final 6 games. What does that go to show you? So, another long offseason lies ahead. Another year with no playoffs. When the Jets were last in the playoffs, I had just graduated from college. Isn't that sad? And now, when the Jets were last in the playoffs, the kids this year that are graduating high school were in kindergarten. That is saying something. Really sad. It's the longest tenure of any team in the NFL without the playoffs. But to say it is true. The last time the Jets made the playoffs, a kid that is graduating high school this year was in kindergarten. That's saying a lot. And since then, the Jets have only been close to the playoffs twice. It was the year after it, and they choked in the final few weeks. And then 2015, when all I had to do was just win against the Buffalo Bills' second team, and they couldn't do that. What does that go to show you? This franchise is just... it's a curse. It really is just... it's torture. It's just cruel. Why does this franchise do this to us? Why? Why? What did we do to deserve this? We love our team in Jets Nation. We do. What did we ever do to deserve what we've gotten? What? So ends another year. Another painful ending. Painful collapse, 7-10 from what went from promise to just despair. That being said, I'm going to end it right here. Off to 2023's campaign in August, September, and we'll see you then. Deuces for now.